Season 2 saw the arrival of several new players and a Champions League fight that went down to the wire against Manchester City. And whilst it didn't go our way, we will be playing European football this season, and with a fresh sense of optimism heading into Season 3 and £200 million to spend, morale is high as we embark on Brighton's first ever season playing in Europe. But of course, if you are enjoying this series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. So with European football comes a European-sized budget, but it's also accompanied by some fairly hefty objectives from the board, as they want me to finish in a Champions League place this season, they want me to win the FA Cup, and they want me to get to the final of the Europa League in our first season in the competition. And so in order to do that, we are going to have to make some improvements to this squad, and I am being quite brutal at the start of this new series with anyone who I don't think has the necessary capabilities to help us reach the top table of European football. But to be fair, looking at the starting 11, we are in pretty decent shape. All of our players, with the exception of Evan Ferguson, who was our top goal scorer last season with 25 goals, is at least rated in the 80s. The problem comes on the bench and in reserve, as we just don't have enough decent players that are realistically going to get us into the Champions League next season. So in a bid to try and upgrade the depth of this squad, there are 3 key positions that I would like to improve. As Igor has decided to leave the club on a free transfer, it's only left us with 3 remaining centre-backs: Roger Ibanez, Lewis Dunk, who was sensational at the back end of last season, and Adam Webster. And whilst all of these players are fairly decent, none of them at the moment are particular showstoppers. The next position is at left back, and whilst Pervis Estupiñán has well and truly established himself as not only one of our best players, but one of the best left backs in the league, rated 84, we don't really have much else left in reserve. And in attacking areas, the 23-year-old Patrick Villa has pretty much played every single game in every single competition for us, and he has pretty much carried the right side of our midfield on his back for the last 2 years. And while Sarmiento is a pretty decent prospect at only 73 rated and just 1 year younger than Patrick Villa, I'm not quite sure he's at the required level to make the step up this season. But first and foremost, it is time to start on our defence. Now, whilst Lewis Dunk was in fine form at the back end of last season, at 32 years of age, he is starting to near the end of his Brighton career, and so we are going to have to look for a long-term replacement for our club captain. And that means we are going to look to a former Crystal Palace man who's now plying his trade out in Spain for Valencia, a man who is desperate for a move back to the Premier League and desperate to establish himself both in the England international scene and as a superstar Premier League centre-back. For £36.7 million, we say hello to our first signing of the summer as Mark Gay joins the club. Now, next up is going to be right midfield, and with Patrick Villa having featured in every single game for Brighton since joining the club, he's absolutely shattered, he's been run into the ground, and he is in desperate need of someone else who can push him and try and take on the load on the right-hand side of midfield. And after embarking on a scouting mission to La Liga to try and sign Mark Gay, I've actually stumbled across another young Spanish gem who I'm keen to add to the Brighton ranks. With over 90 appearances for Villarreal, including appearances in the Champions League and Europa League, he's a man who brings European experience and another man who's desperate to try and ply his trade in the Premier League. And with our rather large transfer budget, we are more than happy to give him the opportunity as we smash our club transfer record for Jeremy Pino for £55.7 million. Now, with me adding Mikhail Carbonic to the transfer list after not really setting the world alight playing as a Estupiñán's reserve over the last 2 seasons, left back is going to be the third and hopefully final position that I'm going to look to try and sew up this transfer window. However, after shortlisting a wide variety of different targets, I've actually managed to stumble across someone who has hit the free transfer market since leaving Chelsea. After spending a season out on loan to Burnley in real life last season, he's come back to Chelsea but hasn't quite been able to establish himself as their number 1 left-back in the place of Ben Chilwell. However, with him only being 22 years of age and already rated 79, I think he could be a fantastic addition, especially as we've managed to snag him on a free transfer. It's signing number 3 of the summer as we welcome Ian Maatsen to Brighton Football Club. Now, after snatching a fairly decent player on a free transfer, it kind of got me thinking, is there anywhere else in my squad that I could utilise the free transfer market to try and improve the squad without spending any more of this £97 million budget that's remaining? And after going through the team, there was one clear area that stood out for me, and that was this man, the 33-year-old Wissam Ben Yedder, who is now, as I've just realised, retiring at the end of the season. Now, unfortunately for the experienced Frenchman, he hasn't quite hit the heights since joining Brighton that I had hoped, and now that he's gone down to a 79 rating, I think perhaps now might be the time to try and look for an upgraded replacement for him. And after taking a very long look through all of the different attacking players that are on the free transfer market, I came across someone whom I was not expecting. Karim Benzema, now 36 years of age, has finally decided to leave Real Madrid, but instead of moving moving over to Saudi Arabia, he is on the free transfer market and ready and available for me to try and take advantage. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, whilst he is 36 years of age and can be considered well and truly past his best, at 84 rated, he would come in and still be our number one striker. Much like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the one thing that was missing off of Karim Benzema's CV is to play in the Premier League. And whilst Ibrahimovic was able to tick that objective off by joining Manchester United, it's time for us to offer Karim Benzema the same opportunity to do so. We'd be replacing one experienced Frenchman for another, and just like Wissam Ben Yedder was supposed to be before him, he could well be the perfect mentor for the 19-year-old Evan Ferguson, and who better to learn from than one of the greatest strikers ever to have played football. Karim Benzema joins Brighton Football Club on a free transfer. And as the rest of the transfer window has progressed, we have managed to offload some of our unwanted players, which has helped add to our transfer budget, which is now up to £109 million. And with our squad looking in better shape than it ever has before, our bench looking incredibly healthy heading into our first season with European football, there is just one more burning question on my mind, and that is who to start as our number one goalkeeper. Now, Hugo Lloris was an absolute wall at the back for us last year. His experience, his calmness and composure helped us secure that final Europa League spot in the league last season. However, at 37 years of age and only 11 months left on his contract, and having now gone down to an 80 rating, is he really our long-term option? But for Bruggen, however, at 21 years of age, is showing great potential. Clearly, his loan to Leicester City last season has done him wonders, as he's now overtaken Hugo Lloris by having an 81 rating. And is this finally the season that is going to be his coming out party, as is he going to be able to establish himself firmly as our number one goalkeeper? And that is the burning question on every fan's lips as they eagerly anticipate the first game of the season, and it's a game in which we welcome Manchester United to the Amex Stadium as we look to exact revenge on the team that knocked us out of the third round of the FA Cup last season. But the answer to that question, as you can see, is that I have decided to go with the long-term option, as Bart Verbruggen, returning back to Brighton, will take over the mantle in goal for Hugo Lloris this season. And my word, what a season it's going to be for the young Dutchman. Harvey Barnes sprays a wonderful pass over to Patrick Wimmer on the right hand side, and Wimmer, I tried to look for the pass into Maffeo, it was the wrong pass, and now Manchester United can try and counter-attack, but Ibanez, oh my word, with a crunching challenge, pressing high, as now we have the opportunity to try and counter-attack. Ludovic Blas, Maffeo whips a good ball in, again looking for Evan Ferguson, and my word, the young Irishman has picked up from where he left off at the back end of last season. A thumping header to give us a 1-0 lead. It was a perfect pinpoint cross from Pablo Maffeo, and you do not stop bullet headers like that. He got up ahead of the defender, and he gave David De Gea absolutely no chance. Inside the opening 15 minutes, it's 1-0 Brighton. Anthony into Lautaro Martinez, gets it back, and now he can try and drive down the side, but Mark Gay comes across in his first real defensive contribution in a Brighton shirt, and he does brilliantly there. He releases Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes can't get the ball through, but Ugarte can try and play it right over to the right-hand side. Pablo Maffeo, the assist maker for the first goal, tries to go down the right-hand side to try and find space. He does do that, whips another brilliant ball in. Oh my word, Harvey Barnes was inches away there from adding our second. Lautaro Martinez looking for a ball to Anthony, and he finds a ball to Anthony wonderfully, but Mark Gay again with another crunching challenge. Bruno Fernandes into Marcus Rashford. Pablo Maffeo this time though with a real thumping challenge as Ludovic Blas tries to bring the ball forward into Maffeo. He finds Evan Ferguson, and Evan Ferguson just couldn't find the back of the net. Koku will take the corner, and Koku looks to the edge of the 6-yard box. Oh my word, it's off the line from the defender. Evan Ferguson's got the bit between his teeth so far in this game. Koku trying to wriggle away into the penalty area to try and fashion an opportunity. Somehow United get the ball clear at half time. Rashford, nice ball into Lautaro Martinez, out wide to Luke Shaw on the left-hand side. Checks back though, looks for Rashford again, gets it back. United trying to turn the screw here early doors in the second half. But Ibanez, with a stronger defensive partner next to him, has been filled with confidence, and that was a brilliant challenge. Stupinian into Manuel Ugarte. Ugarte goes out wide to the left-hand side, gets it back, doesn't get it back from Harvey Barnes, instead he gives it to Ludovic Blas, who ends up bending that one straight into David De Gea's arms. Marcus Rashford for Manchester United looking to go one-on-one with my defence. Instead has to check back to Bruno Fernandes, who tries to float a beautiful ball out wide to Anthony. Goes out though for a corner. But just before we take the corner, this is going to be the first time that we are going to see two of our new signings in action. One of those being the French giant and legend Karim Benzema in a Brighton shirt. I bet you didn't think you'd see that one. Into Jeremy Pino in his first touch in a Brighton shirt. Checks back, looks for the overlapping run of Maffeo, and he finds it really nicely. And Benzema, if he can find the ball into him, that wasn't the ball I was trying to play, but instead it goes to Harvey Barnes. He checks back to Ugarte. It's smashed against the United defenders, and somehow it's trickled wide. Sancho for United into Anthony. He turns nicely, finds Lautaro Martinez. Lautaro Martinez has got a runner of Christian Eriksen. Oh my word, it's a huge miss from Christian Eriksen with just 3 minutes remaining. Malacia with a crunching challenge on Tarek Lamptey, and now Manchester United are really turning up the pressure here. It's into Rashford. Oh, Bart Verbruggen with a massive save. As you can see, this is the very last throw of the dice for United. David De Gea is up. He's in the box. It's floated in. It's headed away by the substitute Adingra. Can he get there for the loose ball? No, he can't. Bruno Fernandes into Anthony. He checks onto his left. It's into Lautaro Martinez, but Cocu is there with a mammoth challenge as the referee blows for full time. Well, Christian Eriksen puts his head in his hands. He cannot quite believe that he missed that one-on-one opportunity earlier on in the game. But that was a hard-fought win if I've ever had one. Evan Ferguson picking up from where he left off last season with a thumping header to separate the two teams. As at full-time it finishes Brighton 1, Manchester United 0. Well, Bart Verbruggen's save towards the end of the game was decisive, and it just goes to show what an inspired decision it was to put that man in between the sticks for that game, if I do say so myself. For me though, the biggest talking point was the performance of this man Mark Gay, the man who wore the captain's armband in place of Lewis Dunk, and what a difference it made having the 24-year-old in the centre of defence. His calmness and composure at the back gave the confidence to this man Roger Ibanez, which is something perhaps he hasn't quite had in his first season in a Brighton shirt. It was our first clean sheet of the season, and it was a solid performance all round, and let's just hope we can keep up that momentum. And with us following up a huge season opener against Manchester United, with another huge one at the Emirates against Arsenal, we are diving straight back into the footballing action. Ugarte into Ludovic Blas. He finds Harvey Barnes, who's free on the left-hand side. I was going to try and find a ball into Ugarte, but he had just strayed into an offside position. In the end, I've just got to keep hold of it, as Ludovic Blas finds himself in a really decent spot inside the penalty area, but could only blast his strike against the Arsenal defenders. Zinchenko for Arsenal was being chased down by Tarek Lamptey, who gets a rare start in place of Maffeo, but Martinelli has fired one into the box. And in the end it was a shot, I think it was from Odegaard, that Bart Verbruggen was on hand to save yet again. Thiago for Arsenal, trying to get into the box here. He's found Saka, and Bart Verbruggen is there again with another huge save. Thomas Partey into Thiago for Arsenal, into Odegaard. Arsenal are just tearing us apart here. Mark Gay with a huge block. And what on earth, how on earth is that going to be a penalty? Well, Roger Ibanez cannot believe it. Let's take a look at the replay. Oh, okay, yeah, well, he did take Odegaard out from behind, and I am absolutely disgusted by it. And this is a wonderful opportunity for Saka here to step up and to take Arsenal into the lead, which he does. He makes a mockery of Bart Verbruggen in goal. He just dinks it past him down the centre. He headbutts the corner flag in celebration as they take a 1-0 lead. Harvey Barnes driving through the centre of Arsenal defence into Evan Ferguson. Evan Ferguson's going to look out wide to Estupiñán. Has he got any options? Instead, I'm going to try and go back in for Evan Ferguson. I'm going to try and dink it across. I was looking for Patrick Vimmer. Couldn't find him. Evan Ferguson to take that one down on the edge of the box, looking for options. Finds Estupiñán. Estupiñán takes it out wide on the left. Whips another good ball in. Again, looking for Patrick Vimmer. And this time, we find him with a thumping header to draw the scores level. Well, if at first you don't succeed with a cross, try it again. And this time, a wonderful ball by Estupiñán. And Patrick Vimmer got up in front of two defenders and somehow managed to absolutely leather it with his head into the top left-hand corner. Ramsdale had no chance, and within a blink of an eye, we are back in the game. Tarek Lamptey for a rare start ahead of Pablo Maffeo finds Evan Ferguson, and he finds the run of Tarek Lamptey, and he bursts into space down this right hand side. Going to look to dink it across for Ludovic Blas. The defender just gets there ahead of him, but Cocu will reach it, and Cocu will strike in straight into the arms of Ramsdale. Odegaard, oh, wonderful challenge yet again from Mark A to spring an attack on them, and Ludovic Blas out wide to Harvey Barnes. He drives into the box, oh my word, with the outside of his right boot, just goes wide. Well, look at this for a chance. I was not expecting him to hit it that way, but my word, he was inches away from giving us the lead here. Vimmer Looks for Tarek Lamptey. Look at the pace of Tarek Lamptey to burst past Odegaard. And he's got an option in the centre if he can find Evan Ferguson, who just couldn't find Ludovic Blas. Alexander-Arnold now plying his trade with Arsenal is under heavy pressure here from Harvey Barnes. But he wriggles away really well there to give it to the goalscorer Saka. And that is beautiful triangle play. Look at that play from Arsenal. Just played their way out of trouble at the back. And now they've got a great opportunity to try and strike a counter-attack. And Mark Gay is there again to put a stop to it. Wimmer into Ludovic Blas. One touch into Tarek Lamptey, who's getting himself involved heavily in this game. Ludovic Blas to strike. A massive save from Ramsdale. Can we try and get it back in? It's blocked off by Alexander-Arnold. Koku, though, will take the resulting corner, and he whips it in looking for a Stupinian. Headed away by the Arsenal defence. He will get it back, though, and he will try and cross it in yet again. He does. Oh, Patrick Wimmer was inches away there from getting his head on it and adding a second tally to his name. Less than 10 minutes remaining on the clock here, and Arsenal have a corner that they've taken short. Martinelli with some beautiful footwork into Saka, the goalscorer, who strikes. Maatsen on as a substitute blocks. Arsenal have another corner. This time, though, it looks like they are not going to go short. Looks like Odegaard's going to throw this one into the box, and he does just that, looking for Gabby Jesus. It's Dahoud who's on as a sub, and it's cleared away again, this time from Maatsen. Martinelli keeps up the pressure, though. Mancini out wide to the goalscorer Saka, into Gabby Jesus, looking for a space here, and in the end, it's safely into the arms of Bart Verbruggen. And that ended up being the very last attack of the game. The points here are shared at the Emirates after a hard-fought draw. That man, Patrick Wimmer, was the man who got the goal for us in the end. As at full-time it finishes, Arsenal 1, Brighton 1. Well, it's 4 points after our first 2 games of the season, and my word, the games don't get much tougher than Arsenal and Manchester United. And with the transfer window yet to slam shut, we still have £109 million left to spend. Plus, we have some European football to get started with next episode. But that is it for today's episode. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.